All right. Math lesson. Subtract with regrouping. I always like to find out what your thoughts are first on it. So how do you feel? What was your overall kind of feelings for it?
I think it went well.
Mm-hmm.
I felt good reinforcing yesterday's regrouping.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And so talking about that, but I maybe could have made it a little more fun.
Okay.
But I don't know. I think it was somewhat acceptable. I think it was fine.
Yeah. I think it was a big step personally, I think it was a big step from your first lesson.
Okay.
I felt more confidence. Of course, there's a few weeks in between, so you've had a chance to kind of get to know the students a little bit more and develop more of a rapport with them. Plus, during that time, I felt like you were able to kind of grab onto more of the classroom routines. Yeah. One of the things I noted in my feedback sheet, which you can look at your convenience, but I noticed you were using the callbacks, which I don't think you were using that the first one, but you used the callbacks. So you said Guerrero, and they said geckos, and at the very end you used macaroni and cheese. And so you're using the callbacks, which is great. Love it. I mean, obviously the bell is there for you to use as well, but you're using the callbacks. There's probably just one or two times where I noted that you probably could have used a callback. Okay. I think you're just like, hey guys, let's listen up to Emma, whoever you're talking to at the time.
Okay. And on the carpet?
Yeah, and during that point in time, I was thinking, well, maybe a callback right there just to get all their attention. Okay. You eventually got their attention, but maybe took a little bit longer. But anyways, that's meant to be a positive, as you were using the callback, which is a great thing. So as you continue teaching these lessons, you were getting more tools in your pocket, the callbacks, the bell, whatever you need to get their attention. So kudos for that. Man, there was a lot of positives I saw compared to the last one. The last one had a lot of positives too, but like you mentioned, you start off with a review. Mm-hmm. I like how you start off with, after the review video, you start off with a question, which I think was great. Just asking them a question, getting them processing, and then you rolled into that like intro video that was just like a minute long. Didn't take very long. Loved your use of the whiteboards. Whiteboards are great. You can get that quick feedback. Thought it was great. I mean, your structure was a little bit different than the way I do it, but that's okay. It's not like a right or wrong. It's more of a preference thing. I mean, as long as the outcome's the same. You still got them learning. You still gave them time within that time to talk. You had them showing their whiteboards, which is great. I could see you were using the whiteboard as feedback for you, because you're kind of looking. I could see you looking at the whiteboards there, and you're to give them some feedback on maybe what they're doing wrong or what they did right. So I thought that was great. Let me see here. One of the things I noticed is I loved how you modeled. After they got their whiteboards, you kind of modeled a problem for them. I think modeling is huge, because then they know what to expect, and then you gave them a problem, let them kind of work on it. And that first time you let them work on it together, I loved it, but you gave them a time to talk with each other. And I usually do that with my structure, is the first few, they get to talk, and then we kind of whittle it down to, okay, can you kind of do it on your own now on the whiteboard? So I think that was great. I noticed this time you were using the random sticks, and you used them last time, but here's the difference between the two, between the first lesson and this lesson, is that you gave them think time before pulling a stick.
Yes.
You would pose a question, or you would say, hey, we're going to look at this problem you did on your whiteboard, but talk with a neighbor first. You did that at least twice, that I've documented, possibly 3 times. So that was feedback I gave you on the first video. Yes. And you took that feedback and you used it, implemented it. That's great. So it's really great to see that you are using feedback from before to guide your new lessons. And so hopefully you'll just keep doing that. Keep looking at the feedback sheets I'm giving you through the Google Docs, and just use that to kind of help drive your instruction. So a lot of positives on this one. So definitely look at those positives and just make sure to incorporate and keep including those into your lessons, because this is all like good stuff. You had some great questions. You had them explain their answers. You said, and I quote, "Can you tell me what you did?" So they had to explain the process of their thinking with subtraction. Your battery's low. It's okay. We're almost done. You said, I like how you read. I love how you always focus on the positive when you are working with students who have the wrong answer, and that's something I love to do. It's like, where you're like, well, 13 wasn't the correct answer this time. And so you're like, yeah, sometimes it is, but not this time. And then you kind of rolled on into the correct answer. So I thought that was great. It's some really good stuff in here.
Sometimes some kids really take it hard if they get the wrong answer in front of the class. So I'm always worried, like, if they're going to have a meltdown or something.
And you always approach it like, whether it's a kid that I know that might have a meltdown or not, I always like to let them down gently and give them a little cushion to fall on, because making mistakes is part of life. And so I want them to learn from it and know that, hey, it's okay to make mistakes. We all do it. This is a learning process. This is a safe environment to learn and make mistakes. So you are kind of helping continue that environment of being safe and having a place to make mistakes and everything. So other than that, let's see, there's one other thing I wanted to hit on. I liked how you really, and same thing I did, I really focused on those TO charts. I make that an expectation. So you kept reminding them, hey, use the TO charts. Because I think, especially for this point in time where they're at in second grade, they're not to that, well, according to the standards, they shouldn't be doing the algorithm yet, even though some of them want to. They still have to be conceptually showing what is happening with the base 10 blocks. And we want them to gain that understanding before moving them to the algorithm. So I liked how you really focused on TO chart, show me what's happening with the base 10 blocks when we're doing this subtracting and regrouping and everything. So let me see. I think that was the main things I wanted to hit. One more thing though. One more great thing I saw was that you were circulating while they're doing their independent practice. And you noticed through conversations and just looking at their box 5 work, some of them were struggling. So you stopped the whole class. You did one of the problems on the board to clear up any misconceptions that they have, and then you let them continue working independently. I thought that was great. A lot of, student teachers don't feel like that they can do that. They're like, I can't stop the whole class. Yeah, if most of the kids are struggling with that, if you're seeing a pattern, then it's going to take you a lot more time to get to all those kids individually, if that makes sense.
They just need to see it again.
Exactly. And you saw that, you recognize that, and you're like, okay, most of these kids need to see it again.
Yeah.
So everybody stop, look up here, let's go through this together, and then you're able to verbally identify some of those misconceptions they might have had. It's like, well, I saw some of you guys not doing this. And so I thought that was perfect. So that was a great way to, what I call it, monitor and adjust. So kudos to you. And then, let's see. I did have just one suggestion. Not really like a negative, more of a suggestion. Like I said, I loved how you used the use of whiteboards. Something I kind of started doing because I realized it kind of helps with time is, because it's kind of a big, crazy hot mess as they're going back to their seats, getting the whiteboards. There's lots of exchange and da-da-da-da. One thing I do is I'll put a problem up on the board, so those that are, like the first group dismissed, as soon as they get to the carpet, they're not just sitting there talking to their neighbors. I have a problem on the board waiting for them so they can actually be working on something when they're sitting there. So, because it does take a while to get all the groups up, and we dismiss them one at a time, and so it does take a while. It's a process.
That's good.
So just something for them to do while they're waiting, so they're not just kind of sitting there, and they're actually practicing some of these skills that you just finished directly teaching them. So
that's good. Yes, because I noticed that when we were waiting for some of the kids, they were taking a while, and I had a lot of kids who were not doing anything, so that's helpful.
Yep, if you're the last group, it'll take a while, but then there's kids that just take a while because they do, and so
they're talking,
because they're talking, or there's just some kids are just plain slow at everything. So so at least the kids on the carpet can be productive while those kids are getting their materials. So yep, I thought it was great lesson. Can't wait to see your next one. So it'll be fun. Did you have any questions for me about anything?
I guess not.
Okay.
I noticed today trying to focus on the lesson, but then incorporating classroom management, like when some kids were saying he needs to get a Guerrero ticket to go to the bathroom, and when I said a kid could go, and then they're doing some conversation over here and something that I didn't know what was going on, and then I said, I guess just never mind, return to the carpet, because if they were going to make
okay.
What's his name? I want to say Dylan. Dylan asked if he can go to the restroom, and he's like, and then George said he needs a Guerrero pass, and I was like, what? And then I just canceled allowing him to go to the restroom because they were making a big complicated deal out of it that I didn't know what rule they were talking about.
So the rule is, you know, if they're on the carpet, we don't get drink, go to the bathroom, nothing, unless it's an emergency, then they do have to give me a grabber.
Okay, grabber.
Yeah, and that's only if it's an emergency, because usually when they're on the carpet, that's like their new learning time. That's sacred time.
Yes, and Dylan needs that. They all do.
They all do, yeah. And so that's kind of like sacred time. It's like intervention time. It's like very important. It's not like, you know, they're at their seats doing table talk. That would be a more appropriate time to go to the bathroom. And so, so if they absolutely have to, in an emergency, they do need a grabber.
And then when Tobias came up to me with an issue, did you think I handled that fine? He tried to come up to me in front of the carpet time and get my attention and ask me something, saying that he's having a problem. And I said, oh, you can go sit next to George instead, because he was complaining.
Yeah, I thought that was a good, or his little table.
Okay,
you could sit his table. Okay. And if you notice, he chose not to sit next to George and went to his table anyways, because I think George was part of the issue. It was like Eduardo and George were like saying something about him, so he's like, I don't want to go sit next to George. He's part of the problem, so he just went to his little table that he knows he can go to, and so.
Yeah, it seemed to go well as far as the management part. There's only a couple little issues, but I just wanted to make sure I'm able to do that well and deliver the lesson to the kids that are actually paying attention.
Yeah, so I guess next step moving forward, we'll just maybe start analyzing the exit tickets, and then you can kind of use that as data. You know, that really tells how well you did. You know, it's like if they're getting it, awesome. I mean, so we'll take some time and look at those exit tickets.
Yeah, it seemed like a lot of them got to the exit tickets.
Only just a couple didn't.
Right.
So I think that was good.
Hey, well, thank you.
Yes, kudos.